Hey vinyl friends and vinyl community, it's Brian with Brian's Vinyl Records, and this is part 2 of my 2019 top 20 favorite albums released this year. So stick around and I'm going to show you the last 10 on my list. Alright, welcome back. Glad you're with me here. I hope you enjoyed the first installment of albums 11 through 20. We're going to go from 10 down to number 1 today on my personal favorite albums from 2019. Now, as stated in the previous video, the album had to be released for the very first time in 2019. It does not include any greatest hits, live albums, or compilations. It's all artists releasing brand new albums in 2019 and my picks of my favorite. As mentioned in the previous video, I did buy 39 of these albums, so I took about half of them and ranked them on my scale for what I thought were my favorite ones. Listenability, how many times I've played them, how much I enjoy them, things like that. So let's get started with number 10 on the list. So number 10 is going to go to an artist that I just really recently started getting into a lot, and I picked up one of his more recent albums and absolutely loved the sound of that album and the production on that album, all that stuff. It just sounded so good, and for being as old as this guy is, he still sounds amazing. Great songwriter. He's got so many albums. This is his 69th studio album, guys. 69. It debuted at number 2 on the country chart and hit number 18 on the Billboard Top 200 chart. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about Willie Nelson. This is Ride Me Back Home, his 69th studio album, guys. Wow. That's amazing. This is the final in his trilogy on mortality. So he put out basically a mortality trilogy. He's getting up there in age and he's starting to look at things. Friends of his are dying, all that kind of stuff. And so he put out 3 albums that deal with different topics that deal with mortality. And this is the final one. Love it. It is absolutely fantastic. I believe this one is, this was produced by Buddy Cannon. He did a fantastic job. One of the other albums in the series was produced by Shooter Jennings, who is absolutely fantastic as well. Really love this album. It is so good. Really gotten into Willie Nelson a lot lately. He's one of the artists that I just found and have been digging into the catalog. I don't know that I'll get all 69 of his studio albums, but I do have a fair amount of his albums, probably about 10 or so currently, and absolutely love every one of them. So Willie Nelson, Ride Me Back Home, comes in at number 10. For number 11, okay, so this is a new album that just came out recently and I just started getting into. And so for me, I listened to it the first time and I enjoyed it. I listened to it a second time, I liked it more, and I listened to it a third time and I really, really liked it. It's one of those albums where the more I listen to it, the more I really dig this album. I think it's great. It's gotten some critical reviews on it saying there's nothing memorable about it, but I think the more you listen to it, the more you really get into it. I think it's a great classic songs from these guys, and it's just following their pattern, their method of writing music, and I think it turned out really well. I'm talking about Hootie the Blowfish's Imperfect Circle. Originally, when I started this list, I would have probably put this at the very end, maybe not even on the list of top 20, but being that I've listened to it several times now since buying it, I've really started to dig this, and it moved closer and closer to the top of my list every time I listen to it. So who knows, if I had a few more months with this album, it might have made my top 5 for all I know. But for right now, it's at number 9. I think it's a fantastic album. I really dig a lot of the songs on here. This is Hootie and the Blowfish's Imperfect Circle, the brand new album from them, at number 9. All right, coming in at number 8. Fantastic album here, guys. when I heard that this was coming out, I was super excited because I've not only been a fan of Marv Morris, but I've started getting into Amanda Shires as well, and teaming up with Brandi Carlile, who is an absolutely fantastic songwriter. And then I'm not as familiar with Natalie Hembry, but from what I read, she's another one of those country songwriters that have had a lot of good hits. So when they announced that they were putting together a group and putting out an album, and kind of a homage to the Highwaymen, but they kind of did a real cool play on it. This is the Highwaymen. It's a play off the Highwaymen, but also a fact on high women, their love for the ganja, as you could say. But absolutely fantastic album. I love the songwriting on this. The music is great. I was super pumped about this. I was bummed that I had to wait a longer time to get it on vinyl, as it came out earlier in this one came out in September on digital platforms and CD, and it didn't come out until the end, I think, of October on vinyl. So, but I finally got it. I was happy. This thing was sold out everywhere. The first week, I was not able to get a copy. I had to wait 2 weeks after it was released on vinyl to finally get a copy of this on vinyl. But glad I did. It's an absolutely great album. This isn't the only time you're going to see one of these people in this list, but this is the Highwaymen debut album at number 8. All right, coming in at number 7, one of my favorite artists. And when I started in a band in 2012, this is one of the artists that was recommended I listened to at that time. We played a couple of his songs in the band over the years, and I fell in love with this artist. Great classic country artist. And what's cool is the last 2 albums he's put out have kind of gone different ways. His previous album to this one had completely changed everything about his sound. He was classic, old school country on his first 2 albums, and then he moved into a little more of a psychedelic or just fusion country that he did that was really good. And then he put out this album. This is Sturgill Simpson's Sound and Fury. This is unlike anything he's done. This is a hard rock, psych rock album. It's awesome. I have not seen the Netflix series that goes with it. He put out like a Netflix film that used all the music from this, and I've heard nothing but great things. One of these days I will sit down and watch it, but the soundtrack and the album itself is just, it's awesome. Not country music. This is a hard rock album. It's just great, and Sturgill Simpson shines. So Sturgill Simpson's Sound and Fury hits number 7 on my list. All right, coming in at number 6 is an artist. I mentioned her former duo partner in the first part of this series. Now I'm going to mention her album because I think it is absolutely wonderful. I'm talking about Joy Williams of the Civil Wars. This is her second album post-Civil Wars, and I thought Venus, her first album, was absolutely great. This one is just as good, if not better, than Venus. I love this album. I waited a while. I pre-ordered this the instant it was available and waited for it to come. It came on release day, and I was beyond elated with what I heard on here. Just outstanding vocalist, great songwriting on this, and overall just a fantastic album. I can't say enough about Joy Williams and her solo career. It's been great. She has a ton of stuff before the Civil Wars that I've really never listened to, but the 2 albums she's put out after the Civil Wars broke up have been top-notch, and I look forward to hearing more of her stuff in the future. So at number 6 comes Joy Williams with Front Porch. All right, guys, we're into the top 5 now, and we're starting with another gal that released an album this year. I saw a lot of advertisement for it on Instagram and Facebook and things like that. Never really heard of the artist before. One of those days, I just put her on my streaming list of things to listen to. Listened to her album on the stream and said, I need to own this on vinyl because it was that good. Her voice is just pure angelic. I love listening to her sing. Her songwriting is immaculate. I love this album. It hits number 5 for me. This is Carolyn Spence's Mint Condition. I don't know what else to say about this album, but it is just so good. This is her third studio album. She has 2 on vinyl. This one in Spades and Roses, I think, is the excuse me, other one that is available on vinyl. I don't have that yet, but I will definitely be picking that up in 2020. It's on my list of things to buy. But this is great. This is by Rounder Records, and I can't say enough about this. If you've never heard her, please look her up on streaming and give this a listen, because I think you're going to enjoy it a lot. Carolyn Spence, Mint Condition, number 5. All right, coming in at number 4 is an artist that I've been following since season 7 of American Idol. She is absolutely fantastic. The purity and innocence in her voice has won me over then and still continues to this day. I've followed her career, like I said, since then. I've gotten her solo releases. I followed her duo as Jack and White as well. And then when I finally heard that she was putting out an album on vinyl, I knew I had to get that as well. I'm talking about Brooke White. This is Calico. Now, I know most of you may probably not know who Brooke White is, or if you did, not really followed her career as much, but I can say that this album is absolutely great. It's a country or California country type album, is what the title comes from, Calico, and I don't know what to say. I've listened to this several times. It's just absolutely gorgeous. It's her 4th studio album, which does not include her Christmas album, and I think it's her best one to date. It is just so well written. The music is produced amazingly, and on vinyl it just sounds so good. I love the bass in this album. I love the music in this album, and then her voice just shines above everything else. There's not a whole lot about this album I can say that I don't like. It is just really, really good. So this one climbed the list the more I listened to it as well. It was originally in the middle of the pack and then moved almost into my top 3 albums. It's just outside at 4, but in my top 5. Love it. This is number 4, Brooke White, Calico. Highly recommended. All right, number 3 is, I mentioned, one of the Highwaymen was going to show up again, and this should come as no surprise. This is an absolutely fantastic album. This was put out in March of this year, and it is great. This is Marv Morris with Girl. What a great album. What an awesome sounding album, and what just brilliant songwriting she has in here. Fantastic stuff. To have her put out 2 albums in 1 year and both of them make my top 10, that says something here. This girl's going places. I loved her first album. I love this album even more than her first one, and I couldn't recommend this any more to anyone. Marv Morris's Girl is number 3 on my list. All right, we're down to the final 2, and I think you can maybe figure out if you watch my posts on Instagram or anywhere on Facebook what those 2 might be, because these albums get a lot of play on there. But just in case, let's get started. Number 2 might surprise some people, but this is Taylor Swift's Lover album. 18 songs, 18 tracks. I love almost probably every single one on this album. I think this is her best album to date, and that's saying something because she's put out some very, very strong albums over the years. But this is really, really good. It's personal, it's emotional, it's just all around really good stuff. This album is her 7th studio album. It sold 450,000 copies on the first day alone, and over 3 million copies in the first week. That's unbelievable. Obviously, this debuted at number 1 on the top 200 charts, and all 18 tracks on this album charted at the same time in the Billboard Hot 100. That has never been done before. Amazing feat for Taylor Swift. It's an absolutely wonderful album. This is the Target exclusive version, which comes on different colored wax. This one is pink and kind of a teal colored in here. Just such a great album. I've been a huge fan of hers since day one, and will continue to follow her career. I think she's absolutely a fantastic songwriter and musician. So props to Taylor. She gets my number 2 spot. Taylor Swift, Lover, awesome stuff. All right, and that brings us to number one on my list, my favorite album of 2019, and I can't get enough of this guy. This guy's new to me. I didn't discover him until 2019. I discovered him early this year. Someone had recommended him to me because I liked Sturgill Simpson and a couple other things, Blackberry Smoke, things like that. They had said, you should check out these 6 bands, and one of those bands, one of those artists, I should say, was this gentleman, and I listened to him on a stream, and I absolutely loved what I heard. I bought his first album, I bought his live album from a radio album, and then I found out that this was coming out on the day before my birthday, and I was pumped. So I ordered it, and it was my birthday gift to myself, and what a gift it was. It is absolutely, without question, my favorite album released in 2019, and he's quickly climbing up as one of my favorite artists of all time. Just absolutely great stuff. This is Tyler Childers' Country Squire album. Amazing. If you like country music, if you like old school type country music, this is a guy for you. I believe this one was produced by Sturgill Simpson himself. It was, and what a great, fantastic job. Songwriting on here is 100% top notch. The title track is awesome. They're just all over the place. I've played this probably 30-40 times since I bought this in August alone, and so I just can't get enough of it. Tyler Childers is finally getting recognized for being such a great songwriter, and I can't be more happy for him. This is just so good. So if you haven't heard this album, if you like old school country, not the bro country type stuff, check this out. It's got really good lyrics on here, some funny stuff in here, and just overall, it's awesome. I think you're going to love it. So check it out. This is Tyler Childers' Country Squire. This is my number one album of 2019. All right, guys, there you go. That is my list for 2019. I hope you enjoyed this 2-part series on my favorite albums from the year. I hope you agreed with a lot of what I chose here. If you didn't, leave a comment below. Tell me if I missed something. Of course, remember that I base this on the 39 albums that I purchased that were released in 2019. So maybe you have a recommendation for me. Leave it below. I'm always interested in finding new music. But let's just quickly recap what we had here. At number 20, we had Sammy Hagar and the Circle, Space Between. At 19, we had the Cranberries with In the End. At 18, we had John Paul White with The Hurting Kind. At 17, Jenny Lewis, On the Line. At 16, Miranda Lambert's Wild Card. At 15, George Strait, Honky Tonk Time Machine. At 14, Dido, Still on My Mind. At 13, Tanya Tucker, While I'm Living. At 12, Whiskey Myers' self-titled album. At 11, Vince Gill's Okie album. At 10, Willie Nelson, Ride Me Back Home. At 9, Hootie the Blowfish, Imperfect Circle. At 8, The Highwomen, self-titled. At 7, Sturgill Simpson's Sound and Fury. At 6, Joy Williams' Front Porch. At 5, Carolyn Spence, Mint Condition. At 4, Brooke White, Calico. At 3, Marv Morris, Girl. At 2, Taylor Swift, Lover. And number 1, Tyler Childers' Country Squire. That's my list. I hope you enjoyed it. And leave a comment below. Give it a thumbs up if you did. And if you're new, please hit that subscribe button. Love to have you along for the ride. Thank you all for making 2019 such a great year for me and in welcoming me into this vinyl community. I appreciate it. I love the love and support that we give each other and look forward to continuing that as we move into 2020. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. Until next time, keep spinning, vinyl friends.